Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
Dan Oman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING. Get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator exclusively on DRF Bets.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Past the Wire TV. I'm John Stetton with my co-host today, Michael Wilson of Forza Bloodstock. And before we get started, a special thanks to Tropical Racing and Circle 8 Ranch for helping make this video possible for all of you. They had a winner in the last race at Churchill Downs the other day, 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf. Real nice win. A lot of great things happening at Tropical. Won't be surprised if they're in the Breeders' Cup in the not too distant future. They're certainly working towards that, and visit tropicalracing.com and learn more, and we'll have a lot more on them during this series that we're going to be doing. Breeders' Cup win and you're in races. We're going to do a little recap after all of the Breeders' Cup win and you're in races. The domestic version started yesterday with the Shoemaker Mile at Santa Anita, won by Count Again, trained by Phil D'Amato. We'll talk a little bit about that. Keeping in mind, the Breeders' Cup is a long way off, so these videos are going to be a little short right now. We'll get a little bit more involved as we go forward, but a lot of good information, and we're going to have a lot of coverage on the Breeders' Cup all the way up to the big dance in Lexington the first weekend in November, and right through it past the wire. Michael, always a pleasure. We're going to talk a little winning you're in. And I've got, I think that for this particular horse, Count Again, who I believe is 7 years old, and I'm interested in your perspective as a trainer, because I've got a perspective as a bettor. I think it's very advantageous for him and Phil D'Amato to qualify early, winning you're in so far out, because the horse is 7, okay? I think this now gives Phil a lot of options as to how he wants to bring the horse up to the Breeders' Cup Mile, okay? He could theoretically give the horse a nice break, run him once before the Breeders' Cup and go in relatively fresh. Phil likes to run off the layoff, so maybe he comes in completely fresh. He could maybe, if the horse is strong and having a good year, run him throughout the year. I mean, he's got a lot of options getting in this early. So I think that's advantageous for him. Would you agree as a trainer that, with an older horse especially, that's a nice position to be in?
I think it's always nice when you have that under your belt, right? You don't have to worry about, oh, can I get qualified? Do I need points? It's not like the Derby where you're scrambling at the last minute. Can I get in the starting gate, right? If you get it right off the bat, now you can just plan the campaign in terms of whatever the horse needs to peak them on the day. For this horse, I don't necessarily think it's age-based. It is nice with older horses to be able to manage them differently. At that stage, they're usually hardier. This horse didn't run until he was 4, I believe he made his debut. So he's only got, I don't know, I don't have his charts in front of me, but I think he's got between 12 races under his belt, maybe 17 starts. And Phil seems to kind of manage him in a way that keeps this horse going forward as he gets older. And obviously he took a big step forward yesterday when he won. So definitely an advantage to have it under your belt and then try and prime your horse so you can fire on the day.
A couple of other observations I'll make about this horse. He was coming out of the Maker's Mark Mile at Keeneland. He didn't have the best trip that day, but it wasn't the worst trip either. But he didn't win. Smooth Like Straight, the horse that runs second to him yesterday, was in that race as the favorite as well. We'll talk a little bit about him in a minute too. But my observation on Count Again is he might not be, the negative is he might not be as good outside of California as he is in California. But I also think that in the Breeders' Cup Mile, when it's run at Keeneland, it's a full 2-turn mile. It's not like Belmont where it's that like turn and a half or whatever you want to call it. It's full 2 turns. And I think a horse like Count Again, who drops pretty far back and makes one run, is less disadvantaged in that configuration as a speed or stalking type of horse, because you got that short run into that first turn. So if you're a speed or stalker and you're not on the inside getting the right trip and you're drawn outside, it's very easy to get hung out wide. And what almost invariably happens in the Breeders' Cup Mile when it's run at Santa Anita or Churchill is some European horse doesn't take that first turn well. And if you're outside of him, you get brought out into the clubhouse parking lot, which is just a brutal trip. Count Again won't have to worry about that. He'll drop back and hopefully look to get his seam or look to make a run. So I think that's advantageous to him if he can produce the same kind of form outside of California that he does in California. But he stamped his ticket. He's in the race early, and I think that's an advantage for him as well. I think it gives D'Amato options. The heavy favorite in the race yesterday was Smooth Like Straight, who I thought ran huge in the Breeders' Cup Mile last year, did everything but win, couldn't beat the Godolphin horse with William Buick, Space Blues, I think his name was, but ran a perfect race on the lead. And going into yesterday's race, I thought he should win. He didn't. And I wasn't worried about something that other people were worried about going into yesterday's race, but coming out of it, I am. And that's that he seems to have lost a little bit of the will to close the deal or kind of get the job done. I mean, I know he's run into some monsters and he's had some, rough pace trips where there was a lot of company up there for him, but he hasn't closed the deal in about 5 or 6 races now. So, with a grade 1 quality horse, that always kind of gives me concern. I'm kind of leaning against him even being in the Breeders' Cup again this year. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, but, Count Again looks like if he stays sound and healthy, he's in it. And again, I think that's an advantage. Any thoughts on Smooth Like Straight losing that killer instinct? And I know he's had legit excuses. I get that. And I know he hasn't had the pace set up, but when you got a quality horse loses 5 or 6 fights in a row, is that a concern?
I mean, it can be. I think the issue yesterday was that he went out with a 45-1 shot. I mean, if you look at the pace of the race and you're running against, I mean, it was a good grade one. It wasn't a great grade one. It was a good grade one. But you're still going, I think they went 22, they went 45, they went 109,
120 for the 7/8. They finished 132-2, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was up there with the pace. Those horses were cooking early. He was right there with him. And that's kind of thing, I think, why the race fell into Count Again's favor is he was there to pick up the pieces. I mean, you cannot sustain those types of fractions. California loves it. It's a lot of speed. We love speed in California. Faster you can go early, the better. But, you know, when you're talking about Breeders' Cup races where there's a lot more tactics in those races, you're going to be trying to figure out pace and jockeying off it and having horses, as we know with the turf, right, which Space Blues won last year. When you get into the Breeders' Cup, it's all about turn of foot. You want to be able to carry your stride. You want to, especially on the grass, you want to be able to carry your pace, but you also need to have a kick. And if you go too quick, too early, the European horses are going to kick and they're going to come for you because they've saved energy early. So I do agree with you that Count Again does show that maybe his type of running style could suit better at Keeneland. I agree with you 100%. Horse is a California horse, likes California. If you put him on a softer turf course outside of California, I mean, for those of you who do not know California, it's pretty much like running on AstroTurf with concrete underneath it. It is a hard, firm turf course. It is not very soft. When you get outside of California, go to Keeneland, you go to Churchill, you go to New York, you go to even in Florida, they're not as hard. Del Mar is a lot softer turf course than Santa Anita. So you're typically running on pavement when you're running with these grass horses. So sometimes why these horses don't fire when they leave California is now there's give in the ground and they don't suit well to it because they can't get the timing of their stride. People might argue with me, but California, the one thing you worry about when you run horses in California is you're going to have a sore-footed horse when it comes out of a grass race at Santa Anita.
Interesting, because I've noticed over the years, and I know other astute handicappers that have made similar observations, particularly at Keeneland. California turf shippers do not run well at Keeneland. So that's something to keep in mind. So my thoughts are, you know, Count Again, I think it's a big positive for him, qualifying early with a win and you're in, Shoemaker Mile victory under the belt. I think it gives the model options. But at the end of the day, even though I think, you know, he won't be compromised by the draw, at the end of the day, I'm going to call him at this early juncture a pretender, not a contender, because I'm just of the opinion that there'll be some better horses than he's able to handle come Breeders' Cup weekend, the first weekend in Lexington in November. So that's my take on the Shoemaker Mile. Win and you're in. Count Again is in as of today. Any final thoughts, Mike?
No, I would agree with you. I think what you're going to start seeing is, you know, the California grass horses tend to run through the winter. We don't necessarily give them a break because of how the calendar is set up. You know, as you see with him, he ran in the Thunder Road. He ran in a handful of races before he went into the Maker's Mark, and then now he's running this. So if you look at it, the good grass horses on the East Coast are about to emerge. East Coast racing, even though there's racing in Florida, we tend to give them a break. They get a little bit of time off, and then you start freshening them up this time of year. So they fire a couple races at Saratoga, a couple big races in the fall, and they're ready for that first, you know, whether it's last weekend of October or first weekend of November in the Breeders' Cup. So I think this horse is early, but I think a lot of better horses are going to start coming out of the woodworks, especially in the U.S., and then you're going to have the overseas contenders as well.
No, we're on the same page with Count Again.
I think Native Trail is the one horse that everybody's got to worry about come Breeders' Cup. I mean, he's phenomenal 2-year-old last year, looking like he's the same at 3 this year. So that's the horse that you need to be afraid of in Europe, unless somebody can show you.
He's a runner for sure. And we've got the Kazoo Derby coming up. I think it's this Saturday is the Kazoo Derby, which is their Kentucky Derby. I mean, it's, you know, should be an interesting race. So we may see some horses there wind up at the Breeders' Cup. Maybe not the mile, maybe in the actual turf, but we'll see.
Right.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Tropical Racing, for helping make these videos possible. Circulate Ranch as well. We're going to do one of these for all the winning you're in races as they move along. As we get more information and things develop more, we'll get a little bit more in depth. But right now, we just got some early thoughts on Count Again. Congratulations to him, all the connections, Phil D'Amato, Irad Ortiz, who shipped out west and rode flawlessly yesterday, won the Hollywood Gold Cup, or do we call it the Santa Anita Gold Cup now, or just the Gold Cup, whatever it was, but won that as well. So he had a big day. Congrats to him and all the connections. Thanks everybody, and ciao for now.
To the best and hope for the best.
Vekoma broke well on the outside, and
but you don't expect to get speed like this.
Outside, Vekoma continues to battle on down at the rail. It is Vekoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
Nobody does it better.